there's a whole industry around fertilizer production. It's a whole industry. We're now using warehouses in the seaports. We're even using rail transport more frequently now because we're able to move fertilizer around. And of course, there are several thousands of jobs being created just around this new fertilizer industry. We hope that we'll be able to produce about 1 million metric tons of fertilizer for the rainy season, for the rainy season planting period, and also another 500,000 for the dry season planting period. All of these are very great news around some of what we're seeing in agriculture. In stabilizing the macro economic environment, we focus on aligning our fiscal with monetary policy and nudging the central bank in the general direction of allowing the more market-determined exchange rate. We're also working on replacing some of the 41 items not valid for foreign exchange with a more trade policy-driven restrictions, taking into account those items that are required and locally unavailable, which we must, of course, continue to import. As of 2015, when we assumed office, 2/3 of the states have been owing salaries for months. We began a systematic scheme of support for the states in 3 phases, and only recently paid 25% of Paris Club reforms, a debt owed to states since 2005. All of these interventions were able to ensure that the states survived the recession and workers can continue to earn their pay and also support their families. Now, there are all manner of arguments around the support that the federal government has provided for the states. There are those who say that they shouldn't be supported at all. There are those who say that perhaps the support should come with some preconditions. What we try to do is to ensure that we have put in place some of the conditions for providing the support. We believe, of course, that the states, and as we all know, the states constitute the nation. And once the states are disadvantaged fundamentally, one way or the other, as they were, when they simply didn't have the money to pay salaries, the whole economy suffers. And of course, that reflects on the performance of the entire economy. So we tried very hard to ensure that the states meet some preconditions before some of the bailouts and some of the assistance that was given to the states. Inflation has slowed down, thankfully, and year on year, I think we're down by 1%. There are, of course, several issues, several reasons why we experience the type of inflation that we experience. Economists will say that largely that will cause push inflation on account of rising exchange rates and some of the other issues, some of the other problems that we've experienced. But we hope that we'll be able to slow down and reduce as we implement some of the other policies which we hope will be able to bring it down permanently. Interest rates have remained high, and of course there's a lot of criticism around that. But the truth of the matter, of course, is that we may not be able to do much about interest rates immediately. But we think that what we're trying to do at the moment, which is using a lot of the development funds or intervention funds in the critical sectors, is what might at least be mitigating for now. So we're trying to get intervention funds in agriculture through the BOA, intervention funds for small and medium-scale enterprises through BOI, that's the Bank of Industry. We also, of course, started the Development Bank of Nigeria, which is the main vehicle for intervention funds. And we think that at least we may be able to, in the critical sectors, be able to get cheap funds to those sectors of the economy that require. But bringing down the interest rates, of course, will involve our borrowing less from the domestic market. At the moment, we are borrowing substantially from the domestic market, and that will be one of the ways by which we can actually reduce interest rates. We've rationalized public expenditure by ensuring fiscal discipline. by rigorously ensuring that all workers, 60% or so of them at the moment, are registered on ITIS, which is our electronic payment platform. So we've been able to remove or reduce those workers, I think about 58,000 odd or so have been taken out of the payroll. And we've saved close to 92 billion between January 2016 and April 2017. It's incredible how many ghosts you can actually have in any one country. By rationalizing overhead expenditure, we've saved substantial amounts on travel, sleeping allowance, honorariums, and meals and refreshments. The focus on good governance and anti-corruption is a fundamental doctrine of our government. From the campaigns till now, the President repeatedly said that corruption is an existential problem for Nigeria. We die as a nation or corruption dies, which is essentially what he has said. Because corruption in our nation is systemic, cutting across society's major pillars and arms of government, it would have been naive to expect that it would be easy to deal with corruption. As a matter of fact, you will notice that corruption has been boldly fighting back through well-established, well-funded entities, and in some cases, even government institutions. But let me just say that we are determined and resolved to defend the nation systematically and deliberately against all forms of corruption. And the reason is because if there's any one issue that has continuously ensured that our country will not make the kind of progress that should make is corruption. Because corruption is not just stealing money, and that's a major part, but also leads to very bad decisions. Bad policy decisions are made on account of corruption. So somebody decides to build a huge, massive white elephant project rather than spend money on the things that are important drivers of the economy. So bad decisions are made, bad policies are made, all on account of corruption. So corruption is a major issue and a major issue for our economy. And we have no choice but to deal with it. In driving industrialization and focusing on medium and small-scale enterprises, our focus has largely been on creating an enabling environment for doing business in Nigeria. Now that is crucial. We need private capital to give our economy the push it needs. This is the abiding philosophy of our economic recovery and growth plan. There's no way that government funding or government financing by itself or government revenues by itself can ever do what we need to do with our economy. So it's very clear that we must ensure that we encourage private capital. So we need domestic, so we need a lot of domestic investments. Some of the investments that we have already, for instance, we have a major refinery, private sector refinery coming on to 650,000 barrels of oil a day. Now that refinery is the largest single line refinery in the whole world. It's a private sector driven refinery. And the same company is doing a major fertilizer plant and also a subsea pipeline. All of the investment that one private sector company is doing is close to $12 billion. The kind of money that the private sector can get. Government struggles to get that kind of money. So we definitely need to get the private sector involved in investing in Nigeria. And so we're trying to attract these huge investments wherever we can find them, huge investments in petrochemicals, in the oil sector. The oil sector, fortunately, things are looking up a bit more because we've been able to resolve the problems around the joint venture cash flows. So many of the oil majors are investing a bit more now. There are more rigs that are working than ever before, at least in the past 18 months or so. So it's clear that we're gradually being able to attract some foreign investments and some investments into the local economy.